2017 was supposed to shape up as a playoff type of season for the New York Giants. Potentially Eli's last ride into the playoffs, and maybe they could make a Super Bowl push based off of the season they had in 2016. And then all that crap never happened. Injuries, poor play, terrible coaching, years of bad drafting, finally catching up to the organization, other teams getting better, so on and so forth. The Giants season in 2017 has been a complete and total unmitigated disaster. And you would think as a Giants fan, you sit there and you say to yourself, well, it can't really get much worse, and we got some good news out of this season. Jerry Reese has been fired, Ben McAdoo's been fired. You can look forward to the offseason, look forward to the draft with the high pick, look forward to 2018, and start a new way forward. But it's like this season for poor Giants fans just keeps giving you more crap. Just when you're thinking you're riding out the streak and getting to the offseason, then you got the focus and discussion on Eli Apple and what's going on with his world. You talk about the team's first-round pick in 2016. You're talking about a guy who Landon Collins referred to indirectly, but pretty directly in an interview, talking about if they got rid of the first-rounder, that secondary room would be better and the team would be better for it. Then you've got people like, I think it was Dan Duggan that wrote an article detailing some of the family issues surrounding Eli Apple, to which Brandon Marshall notably replied and called it trash. And if you follow me on Twitter, as you should, you will know that I called him out on that, which of course eventually led to me getting blocked, and that's the world that we live in. But it does beg an important question. Are family issues and personal issues out of bounds for these athletes? And in an ideal world, they would be, and they should be. It should be about, who they are as athletes. That should be the focus. Parents are supposed to be role models, not athletes, like Charles Barkley said. But the fact of the matter is, these are guys that are getting paid millions of dollars. These are guys that kids look up to. These are guys that families devote hours to watching every weekend during the NFL season. These are fans that look at these guys and buy their merchandise, meaning their jerseys, buy the team apparel, pay money to go get tickets to go see a game, season tickets, buy concessions, and all of that other stuff. So there is part of a thing here where you say, in an ideal world, it shouldn't matter, but in a realistic world, yeah, it's the world that we live in. We live it for sensationalistic trash like this, but more importantly, it's really not that much trash if you think about it, because ultimately, as a customer, which as a fan, you ultimately are a customer of your team's product, and the NFL product is a byproduct. You are forking over more money. You're investing time in watching it. You are a customer. And as a customer, don't you have a right to know what that company, that brand, the individuals involved believe in or represent? Yeah, I think you do. Because you ultimately want to know what it's about. You ultimately want to know where your money is going. And especially when you look at a guy that had big-time potential, that a lot of fans for New York weren't very excited about him being drafted to begin with, a guy that showed some serious promise at times in his rookie year, but has significantly fallen off this year, and there's been all types of questions about effort, and you could clearly see the effort wasn't there on tape. He's been suspended and so on and so forth. It's reasonable to ask what the hell is going on. And if it's not injury, then what is it? And if you can draw a correlation to an increase in the off-the-field issues for an individual, and it ties into a decrease in performance on the football field, I don't think it's out of bounds to talk about that. Look, in the real working world, and this might be a shock to some of these sports fans that want to sit there and knob suck on these freaking athletes, but the fact is that especially like if you're in management, you've got employees, you need to know what they're doing at work, but it is important to know about them outside of work. You need to know about things. You might not need to know every single freaking detail, that is true, but if you have an employee that was a rock star performer and all of a sudden they just fall off of a cliff for 3 and 6 months in a row, you need to know what's happening, because they didn't all of a sudden forget how to be good. But you can't just talk about the performance because there could be other issues outside of work that are carrying over to inside of work, which is the worst thing you want to have happen is outside of work life conflict with work life and work life conflict with out of work life. But we know that it does, and that's the way of the world. But as an effective business, as effective management, as effective leadership, you must know about those issues. You have to be able to get to the bottom of them and figure it out and try to help people get over that. Because if not, it is going to continue to affect their performance. And that's exactly what's happening with Eli Apple here. It makes sense now. Why would he regress so much in year 2? Why would he be putting forth such little effort? Because his personal life is carrying over to the god-fucking football field. Clearly. And you've seen the reporting by individuals like Dan Duggan, and then you see the article was recently posted by Black Sports Online talking about it going even more in depth. It's not out of bounds at all. It is fair game. And I understand somebody like Brandon Marshall not wanting to talk about athletes' personal life out there in public. If I had his history of getting arrested, and in particular putting my hands on women, I wouldn't want my history out there either. I try to keep that under wraps too. So sorry, Brandon, that this shit I know hits a little too close to home for you, but the fact is it perfectly reasonable for the media to ask these questions and for fans to ask these questions who are ultimately customers, trying to figure out and explain or get some type of justification as to why this guy who did show some promise as a rookie, such big donkey right now. Why he doesn't seem to care, why he's putting forth no effort, why he's getting suspended. That's not just being manufactured out of thin air. This is not bullshit. This is real life. This is what's happening. So it is fair and valid to ask this crap. And the real truth of the matter is, based off of all the reporting you've seen so far, is that what's happening is Eli Apple is being manipulated by a puppet master of a mother. A high-class rat. And that's exactly what she is. Sitting there allegedly banging the best man from her wedding to Eli's stepdad, Tim. It's fucked up, too. Like, this is the guy that raised him. You thought so much of him, you ended up taking Tim's last name. That's why you're Eli Apple now. He was there all those years, helped to raise the whole family and provide for the whole family. And, of course, now that the son has struck out, and on his own, and is making a ton of money, there she goes, she's fucking around on the dude, and she couldn't wait to divorce his ass. Because now she's got her meal ticket, now she's got her money bags, now she's got that next victim, that next sucker, to bleed fucking dry. And if you think it is anything other than that, then you are crazy. I've dated enough rats over the years to know a rat when I see a rat. And Annie Apple is a fucking rat, period. And I would say that to her freaking rat face. That's exactly what she is. And no, I don't feel bad about saying that because one, it's the truth. And two, if you are the type of manipulative bitch that would sit there and turn your son against the entire family because of your selfish actions and for your bad choices and your mistakes, just so that way you can continue to control your son and have access unfettered to his money, you are a sick bitch and no real quality type of mom that anybody would want in their freaking life whatsoever. She is a high-class rat, nothing more. It's about time somebody called her out on that shit. And again, I've dated enough rats to know one when I see one. I ain't calling her a gold digger, but you know the rest of the freaking lyric. It just happens to be she shunned the rest of her family in favor of her son because he's the millionaire. Well, ding dong, dumb bitch! You're gonna end up costing your son his fucking career, and guess what? Once you blow through that money, what's next? Who's gonna be there to support your lazy fucking ass? And this is an example, as much as you want to blame the mom, at some point in time, no, Eli, you're a grown-ass fucking man, and it's time to start acting like it. Stop being a pussy whip little bitch and letting your mom sit there and run your damn world and run your damn life and ruin your damn life and your freaking career. Because clearly you are not on the same career trajectory as you were after 2016. And what is different? What has changed? Your family situation controlled directly by your mother. Unbelievable. Like, I couldn't imagine as a grown-ass man having my mom controlling every aspect of my life and being basically my mom's bitch. Now, that's the first 18 years of your life. After that, your parents don't like what you do, they can kick fucking rocks. Just because your parents respect my ass. I'm an adult now, respect my ass too. So no, it is completely fair and completely legitimate to ask these questions. Especially because the family doesn't seem to have a problem with it because they're volunteering the information. And if Eli and Annie don't like it, then you know what? They could choose to respond to it. If Eli really doesn't like it, then play better on the football field and it's not an issue. If Annie doesn't like it, then stop being a manipulative bitch and a rat and get out of your son's freaking way before you ruin him, his career, and his damn life. It's unbelievable. And I can't believe there are people that are sitting there and saying this is out of bounds, or saying this is unreasonable to dig and so on and so forth. No, it's freaking not. But I suppose this is the same country that thinks it's okay for a presidential candidate turned president to not release his freaking tax returns and give you some type of bullshit story about an audit. Well, again, ding dong, dumb dicks, that's crap and we know it. If we don't hold those type of people to a certain type of standard, why would we, I guess, with the freaking athletes? But again, it's not out of bounds. They're not saying in the media that Eli is a bad guy. They're not saying that he's incorrigible. They're not saying that he's a lost cause. They are attempting to provide a kind of context, a backdrop, as an attempt to explain what has gone wrong for Eli Apple in 2017, which is kind of a microcosm of what has gone wrong for the Giants this year. It is not out of bounds to ask these questions, because ultimately Eli Apple opened himself up to his questions with his piss-poor play, his substandard effort, and general didn't give a crap attitude this year. If you don't want those questions, then don't put yourself in that situation. It's that simple. It's fair for us to talk about. And like when Brandon Marshall says, oh, we put family issues out there on Twitter, I've done it here on the videos. I've talked about all types of shit in my personal life. It's not out of bounds. I've done it on Twitter too. Big whoop-de-deal. Because if it's true, it's true. If it's false, it's false. But again, ultimately, this is Eli Apple's fault because Eli Apple hasn't been man enough to take control of his own situation, if you believe any of the reporting that is out there. And based off of the numerous people that have provided corroborating quotes and evidence to suggest so, we know what the issue is. Eli Apple is letting his rat of a mother run his life and ultimately ruin his life, because that's what a rat does. Chews you up like your cheese and then shits you out and moves on to the next sucker. And stop sitting there and slob-knobbing these freaking athletes like they're going to like you or they're going to care about you and trying to defend their personal space or their privacy. Yes, in an ideal world, we wouldn't talk about this crap. It wouldn't matter. But you know what? There are a lot of people that invest a lot of money in the NFL. And I look at it this way. Let's pretend Eli Apple played for the Green Bay Packers. Fans are legitimately the owners. They own shares. So you could make an argument, even if it's a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a percent, they technically have ownership equity in the Green Bay Packers, even if you say it is more of a ceremonial type of thing, but ultimately they have bought a share in the product, in the company. It is a community-owned thing. So as a result, if you had fans of the Packers asking what's going on with Eli Apple and doing research into his personal life, would that be out of bounds? Absolutely not. Why do you think so many of these scouts and front offices and general managers and executives do all of these interviews with all these players and all the people around these players? Because they need to know this crap, because it's important and it's relevant. Because personal shit is the number one indicator of potential problems. Bad personal life is the number one impact on professional performance. It doesn't matter whether you're an athlete or some ham and Joe in the working world. You can be some ham and egger and it's the same thing. It's legit, it's valid, and stop pretending like it's not, people.